Okay. Hello out there in video land. Today we're continuing with our reading of Hamlet, and we are going to be starting with reading Act Two, Scene, Act Three,
Actress.
Act Three,
Scene.
Scene Two. Thank you, Anne. Yes. And let me take a look here because I'm probably the first reader. Yes. So let me go and then I go, okay, got it. Now let me,
Oh, super. And Dave. Excellent timing.
Hi, Anne.
Hi. Excellent timing.
Here I am. Okay, great. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dave.
hello there, hello there. So I didn't know whether you were going to show up,
Oh,
and because you're a little bit late.
I am so sorry. So sorry.
Not a
I
big
was
deal.
reading.
Not a big deal.
I was reading Proust. If that's an excuse.
That's no excuse.
That's a very
No
good one.
excuse. Okay.
Oh, Dave, I would nearly consider that showing off.
Oh, okay, Sophia.
No, I'm only teasing.
Okay, you have no idea how challenging it is.
Oh,
It was just before you came on the air, Dave, we were talking about reading Chaucer. So
Wow.
that'll be a real challenge.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we were
Duncan's
talking about
teacher was suggesting.
my 93-year-old high school English teacher
Right.
asked me if we were going to read Chaucer,
Well,
which I took as a kind of marching order sometime. I mean,
yes.
it's amazing, all these years. I mean, she's 93, I'm 79, and
Right.
I'm still responding to her like one of my favorite teachers who's who still has the ability to tell me what to do somewhat.
Yes. Oh no, it's very interesting running into old teachers. By the way, you can get a modern translation of Chaucer if you don't want to read the English. It's not as nice, but yeah. So my dad was at a school reunion, his elementary school. He was in his 60s, and his grade 2 teacher was in her 80s, and he was calling her Mrs. So-and-so, and she finally said, Roy, I think at this point you can call me Ruth.
And he said, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. He laughed about it.
Probably.
Yeah. So now, Dave,
Yes.
we were going to go ahead and begin the reading of scene 2, but I remember you wanted to
Yeah.
perhaps bring up Ophelia again.
Did my idée fixe, Ophelia, yes. So if you go to line, so it's Act 3, Scene 1, and in my edition, it's line 153, and it begins with, "Oh, what a noble mind is here overthrown."
Yes.
It's just right near the end. It's, on the page near the end. Okay.
Okay, so this is a
good on that?
fairly short one.
It is, yes. No, I won't inflict another soliloquy on you like I did last week.
No, it's fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
Dave, run that past me again.
Sure, Sylvia. It's about line 153 of
No.
the Act
But
3,
wait,
Scene 1.
Yeah.
And it's about a page from the end, Sylvia. It starts with, "Oh, what a noble mind is here overthrown."
yeah, I missed last week. No, that's. Are we on Act 1 or 2? What?
No, this is
Two?
Act 3, Act 3, Scene 1, right near the
Oh,
end.
Act. Oh, right. No wonder. Okay.
Trina, did you find it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, yes, find it. Yeah.
So she says, "Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtier's, soldier's, scholar's eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I of ladies most deject and wretched, that suck the beauty of his musicked vows, Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of time and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. And the reason I didn't want to leave it is partially because of my fixation with Ophelia, because I mean, it shows her suffering. You know, it shows her really starting to bottom out. But it also tells us, and I think this is important, who Hamlet was. Because when we're going through the play, what we see is a guy suffering, a guy who's blaming himself for not coming to a decision. I mean, he's his worst critic. But Ophelia gives us a glimpse about what he was before all this happened. And so it sort of deepens our investment in Hamlet. You know, this is who he was. You know, the courtier's, soldier's, scholar's eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of fair state, the glass of fashion, mold of form, observed of all observers. So he was somebody. He's worth investing your sympathy in. I think that's why I wanted to highlight this line.
Yeah, he's not a corner punk gone bad.
No,
Gone a
he's
little
not.
more bad, but
No.
and this, of course, this is also to be the description of princes in general. You know, this is the role of the prince to, I think, have all these different aspects to them.
Correct. That's a good point. So it's just not a personal. It's not just pathetic personally, but it has got real consequences for the state too. That's right. Yes.
And that's very important to tragedy, the consequences for the state, to the
Yeah.
state.
I think we should have at least 2 or 3 of us read this Ophelia section. So, Dave, why don't you start and read the whole thing, and then we'll get another volunteer and another
Okay.
volunteer.
So I did actually come to the end of it because you pick up with the king and Polonius there, who are quite notably unconcerned with Ophelia's misery. Nobody seems to care.
Even Polonius, her father, is a little distant.
Yeah. He kind of dismisses her. He says at line 180, "How now, Ophelia? You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all." So he's probably not going to get nominated for Father of the Year.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Definitely
At least not among us picky people.
Not among us Ophelia-philes. That's right. I think that was your phrase, Donna.
Or Opheliac, wasn't it?
Ophelia. Yes.
Okay. Dave, are you going to read the whole thing?
I did actually.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, who else would like to read this? Well, I guess I'll volunteer myself. Jem, are you stepping forth?
I was Duncan, but I mean, if you want to go ahead, go right ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, so, oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars' eyes, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion, and the mould of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I of ladies, most deject and wretched, that suck the honey of his music vows. Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, little sweet bells jangled out of tune and hash. That unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to've seen what I have seen, see what I see.
Thank you. Well done. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And did you talked about this last week? I wasn't here. So what is she referring to to seen what I've seen and see what I see.
Do you know the nunnery, get thee to a nunnery
Oh yeah,
soliloquy?
yeah.
Okay, if you haven't read that recently, in fact, let me see how far away. Okay, so I'm going to read it because you can see why she's a little upset. Or do you want to read it? Do you have it, Sylvia?
Oh,
Get thee to,
Hamlet. It's Hamlet, is it? Get thee to a nunnery.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sins? I am myself indifferent, honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that were better that my mother had not borne me. I am very proud, revengeful, ambitious, with more offences at my beck than I have thoughts to put them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. Why should such fellows as I do crawling between earth and heaven? We are errant knaves all, believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Where's your father?
Mm-hmm. Keep
Yeah.
going, Sylvia.
Oh,
Keep going.
right.
I think that the dialogue between Hamlet and Ophelia is really
Oh,
important to really
Ophelia,
round this off.
at home, my lord. Hamlet, let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere but in his own house. Farewell. Ophelia, oh, help him, you sweet heavens. Hamlet, if thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou chaste as ice, as pure as snow. Thou shalt not escape calumny. Go thee to a nunnery, go, farewell. Or if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool, for wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery, go, and quickly too, farewell. Ophelia, oh, heavenly powers, restore him. Hamlet, I have heard of your paintings too well enough. God hath given you one face, and you make yourselves another. You jig, you amble, you lisp, you nickname God's creatures and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to, I'll no more on it. It hath made me mad. I say, we will have no more marriage. Those are those that are married already, all but one still live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery go.
Hmm.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. So who's going to continue Ophelia?
Well, people
Okay.
are deciding, Sylvia. I just wanted to point out because you missed last week. There was
Yes.
some discussion. There's a
Mhm.
double meaning potentially on the word nunnery, making Hamlet's comments even that much more harsh and savage. Because nunnery can talk as we think of in common parlance as a place where nuns live, but Dunna found in his notes that it can also have the meaning of brothel.
Oh.
Oh,
And so, if that in fact is the case, it makes what he's saying to her even more difficult.
Oh, how awful. Yeah.
Not everybody agreed with that, though, Sylvia.
Correct.
All right.
We had divided opinion.
We did.
Well, and we had another ambivalent or two meaning situation, which was, um, did Hamlet know that Claudius and Polonius were listening, and that he made this speech not for Ophelia's sake at all, but he made it
okay.
to Claudius and Polonius, and was just using Ophelia to get to them.
Mm.
Mhm. And then we arrive at Ophelia, because Ophelia, I mean, she obviously is in love or has deep, deep affection for Hamlet. And she did think that he had deep affection for her. And now he's just crushed her.
Very sad.
Anne or Katrina, you want to read the Ophelia?
Yeah.
Oh, what a noble
I better,
mind.
I better sit up. Oh, what a noble mind is here overthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword. The expectancy and rose of the fair state. The glass of fashion and the mould of form. The observed of all observers, quite down. And I, of ladies most deject and wretched, that suck the honey of his music vows. Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. Oh. The more you read it, the sadder it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very sad. It's very
Very
sad.
sad.
And the temptation, my temptation would be to read it perhaps too melodramatically.
Mm.
But she's disappointed in three different ways. She's disappointed that he, who she had respect for, she thinks he's gone crazy. She's disappointed because the prince that she thought would be ready to take over the state someday shows himself not to be worthy of doing that, at least on the surface. And then she's disappointed because he has denied any affection for her, much less love. All right, so I'm tempted. I can't resist.
Go right ahead.
Oh,
Go for it.
what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I of ladies most dejected and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows. Now to see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me. To have seen what I've seen, see what I see. So I think this is, I was warned by Donna not to give away anything that happens later in the play, but you can see that this has had a devastating effect on her and
Absolutely.
might lead to bad results.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to point out is that often Shakespeare ends these scenes with a rhyming couplet. Like here, woe is me to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. And then at the end of the act, at the end of the scene, it shall be so, madness and great ones must not unwatched go. You see that's quite, the play is the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king, and it rounds out the scene or the act even. But in this case, it's not even a whole scene. But anyway, those rhyming couplets are there often.
Okay. But you don't have those in your text right now, do you?
I think it's a feature at the end of each act of
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
I think it was a cue for the audience,
Yes.
who would have had a text in front of them, so that they'd know that even though there might be Exion Domines, but they would know that this is the end of the act. We're now moving on to the next act
Or the
Mhm.
scene.
or the
Mhm.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like a signal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just read, so we need someone who is the reader after me.
Me. I.
Okay, so begin. Enter King and Polonius.
Oh, just before we do, Donna, I will defer to your greater knowledge of Macbeth. But
Okay.
isn't it something similar to this in Macbeth, where Macduff is interviewing Malcolm, and Malcolm is giving him all the reasons, like he's feigning because he doesn't know who to trust, and doesn't he give Macduff all the reasons why Malcolm should not be king? And he kind of runs down a list, and Macduff, Macduff despairs for Scotland.
You may well be right, Dave. I'm afraid I don't recall it. It's been a long, long time ago, but I will check it out.
Okay, I think there is. I guess we'll see when we get to Macbeth. But
Sure. Yeah.
but it's just, I think it's not the first time Shakespeare kind of plays with this sort of device in his plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So where are we? I'm at
You would begin
3
with King. Love, his affections do not that way tend. It's
Oh,
right after
okay.
Ophelia's. Yeah, right
Okay,
after
so we're
Ophelia.
going to finish this. We're going to finish reading this scene. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Enter King and Polonius. King, love, his affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul, or which his melancholy sits on brood, and I do doubt the hatch and disclose will be some danger, for which for to prevent I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England for the demand of our neglected tribute. Haply the seas and countries different with variable objects shall expel this something settled matter in his heart, whereon his brains still beating put him thus from fashion of himself. What think you on't? Polonius. It shall do well, but yet I do believe the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love. How now, Ophelia? You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. My lord, do as you please, but if you hold it fit after the play, let his queen mother all alone entreat him to show his grief. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of their conference. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think. King, it shall be so. Madness and great ones must not unwatched go. Exeunt.
All right. Good. Okay, so I would say that the king has already thought of this plan to send him with Guildenstern and Rosencrantz and have him killed in England.
Wait, have him what in England?
Killed.
That's a spoiler alert. Oop, spoiler alert.
Oh God.
At this point, we just know they're going to England. Okay.
Don't worry about the spoilers. Don't worry.
Knocked off.
No.
Damn, I just drained all the drama out of the play.
Yeah, I'm moving on to Macbeth.
Before we leave this scene, I also wanted to point something out. Again, I'm fixed on Ophelia. She's forced to tell a lie here, too. Where is your father? At home, my lord. And I wonder if that kind of breaks her as well. She has to lie to Hamlet.
Oh, back earlier.
I'm sorry.
She has
Yes,
to lie
back
to
a bit.
Hamlet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just when when Hamlet asks her, "Where's your father?" Because I think he's suspicious that there's something afoot, and she says, "At home, my lord,"
Oh my lord.
which is a lie. And if you
And
got
is it possible, is it possible that one of the triggers for him being so cruel to Ophelia is that he knows that Polonius is behind the curtain and that his supposed love is lying to him, just like his supposed loyal servants were lying to him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of how to phrase this now so as not to spoil things for Donna. But
Please
let's
don't
just say that those who lie to Hamlet tend to have bad things happen to them eventually.
Mm.
But that's a very good point because I forgot about that. That she actually does lie to him.
Mm.
Okay. And then this is I find it very interesting with Polonius, the Polonius who originally thought that Ophelia should hide from Hamlet because he figured that Hamlet was just trying to take advantage of her and there was no future in it for her. And now he suddenly wants there to be a future for her and Hamlet. So he's actually arguing for the idea that, well, really, in spite of the fact that he said all these nasty things to my daughter, he's really in love with her, I think, and you need to have his mother talk to him about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? We heard it all, my lord. Do as you please. But if you hold it fit, after the play, let his queen mother all alone entreat him to show his griefs. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of their conference. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think. So, and this is after Polonius makes a statement. Yet I do believe the origin and the commencement of this grief sprung from neglected love. Am I making too much of this?
No, I think it's right on.
Mm-hmm. And here we go. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. So I think this is Shakespeare putting in a plug for Richard III, for King Lear, and for Hamlet. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. All righty. So we are at Act 3, Scene 2. Who is the next reader?
I'm next up.
All righty.
Scene 2, a hall in the castle. Enter Hamlet and players. Hamlet. Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do we sow the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently, for in the very torrent, tempest, and as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters of very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for o'erdoing Termagant. Is out Herod's Herod. Pray you avoid it. First player. I warrant, your honour. Hamlet, be not too tame neither, but let your discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to nature, to show virtue her own feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time his form and pressure. Now this overdone, or come tardy off, though it make the unskilful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve. The censure of the which one must in your allowance o'erweigh a whole theatre of others. Or there be players that I have seen and heard others praise, and that highly, not to speak it profanely, that neither having the accent of Christians, nor the gait of Christian, pagan, nor man, have so strutted and bellowed, that I have thought some of nature's journeymen had made men and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably. First play. I hope we have reformed that indifferently with us, sir. Hamlet, or reform it altogether, and let those that play your clowns speak no more than is set down for them. For there be of them that will themselves laugh, to set on some quantity of barn spectators to laugh too. Though in the meantime, some necessary question of the play be then to be considered. That's villainous, and shows a most pitiful ambition in the fool that uses it. Go, make you ready, Exeunt players.
Mm-hmm.
Stop there?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But does anybody else feel like I do that we need to actually discuss this piece before going on with the act? This is
Yeah, I
strikes
think
me
this
as
is an important piece, isn't it?
this is really important.
There's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
lot in
this
it.
is Shakespeare telling actors how they need to act.
That's right. That they're not just to read the simple words on the page, but they're to understand the message that's being given.
And not to exaggerate too much and
Not to
not
underwhelm.
to underwhelm, not to
Yeah,
overwhelm or to underwhelm.
correct.
So, I mean, I would assume if one was a Shakespeare actor that this would be something you would want to read over and over and frequently.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a director of a play instructing the actors as to how they should perform their lines. You know, he says, be not too tame either. In other words, don't tone it back completely. Give
Mm-hmm.
it plenty, but don't overdo it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That you o'erstep not the modesty of nature, or anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end both at first and now was and is to hold us where the mirror up to nature. Yeah, there's some great lines here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
To show
But
virtue her own features, scorn her own image. Mm-hmm.
but to just hear Hamlet's words directing the play, just it's marvelous, isn't it?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And
But
I wish I knew the reference. I know I read it, but so I'm just going to have to beg your forbearance here. But I do believe that this is also a political editorializing on Shakespeare's part, because at that particular time, the quote legitimate theaters were experiencing competition from amateurs. that were roaming around the country, and they were basically kids and not trained actors who would tend to overplay or underplay. So I believe that's a subtext of this also.
And I would agree with you, Duncan, that it's Shakespeare we're listening to here more so than Hamlet. Hamlet is his mouthpiece, but it's Shakespeare who's talking to us.
So it seems to me. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to say about this?
Only if you're looking for the lines in the play where they talk about the actors being displaced by younger, youthful people. Or were
Okay.
you talking about a reference external to the play?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, that's good.
Yeah. I think I got it out of a book called Shakespeare After All, which is a woman professor at Harvard who talks about that this was a problem. In fact, I should go and look at that book between now and the next time to see if that's it. All right. Well, shall we go to the next piece then?
Okay.
Okay. I
Enter
think it's up to you,
Polonius.
Anne. I'm sorry, Anne. I
Enter
was just saying
Polonius.
something.
That's perfectly right. Enter Polonius, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern. How now, my lord? Will the king hear this piece of work? Polonius. And the queen too, and that presently. Hamlet. Bid the pairs make haste. Will you two help to hasten them? Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. We will, my lord. Exit Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Hamlet. What ho, Horatio. Enter Horatio. Horatio. Here, sweet lord, at your service. Hamlet. Horatio, thou art even as just a man as ever my conversation coped withal. Horatio. O my dear lord. Hamlet. Nay, do not think I flatter. For what advancement may I hope from here, that no revenue hast but thy good spirits, to feed and clothe thee? Why should the poor he be flattered? No, let the candid tongue lick absurd pomp, and crook the pregnant hinges of the knees, where thrift may follow fawning. Thou'st thou here, since my dear soul was mistress of her choice, and could of men distinguished her election, hate sealed thee for herself, for thou hast been as one in suffering all, that suffers nothing. A man that fortune's buffets and rewards has taken with equal thanks, and blessed are those whose blood and judgment are so well commingled that they are not a pipe for fortune's finger, to sound what stops you please. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, aye, in my heart of heart. And as I do thee, something too much of this. There is a play tonight before the king. One scene of it comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, even with the very comment of thy soul, observe my uncle. If his ocular guilt do not itself unkennel in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imagination are as foul as Vulcan's city. Give him heeded none, for I mine eyes will rivet to his face, and after we will both our judgments join in censure of his seething. Next, please. With that, Jim.
Horatio. Well, my lord, if ye steal aught the whilst this play is playing, and scape detecting, I will pay the theft. Flourish of trumpets and kettle drums. Hamlet. They are coming to the play. I must be idle. Get you a place. Danish march, enter king, queen, Polonius, Ophelia, Rosencrantz, Guildensterns, lords and guards carrying torches. King, how fares our cousin Hamlet? Hamlet, excellent, I faith, of the chameleon's dish. I ate the air, promise crammed, and you cannot feed capons on. King, I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine. Hamlet, no, nor mine. Now, my lord, you played once in the university, you say. Polonius, that I did, my lord, and was accounted a good actor. Hamlet, what did you enact? Polonius, I did enact Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me. Hamlet, it was a brute part him to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready. Rosencrantz, aye, my lord, they stay upon your patience. Queen, come hither, my dear Hamlet, sit by me. Hamlet, no, good mother, here's metal more attractive. He turns to Ophelia. Polonius to the king. Oh, did you mark that? Hamlet, lady, shall I lie on your lap? He lies at Ophelia's feet. Ophelia, no, my lord. Hamlet, I mean my head upon your lap. Ophelia, aye, my lord. Hamlet, do you think I meant country matters? Ophelia, I think nothing, my lord. Hamlet, that's a fair thought to lie between maids' legs. Ophelia, what is, my lord? Hamlet, nothing. Ophelia, you are merry, my lord. Hamlet, who, I? Ophelia, I, my lord. Hamlet, O God, you only jig-maker, what should a man do but be merry? For look you now, cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within 2 hours. Ophelia, nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord. Hamlet, so long, nay, then let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. O heavens, died 2 months ago, and not forgotten yet? Then there's hope a great man's memory may outlive his life. Half a year, but by Our Lady he must build churches then, or else shall he suffer not thinking on with the horse, a hobby horse, whose epitaph is, for oh, the hobby horse is forgot. Next, please.
I think we should talk.
Okay.
I think we should talk. There's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Dave, just to let you know, I've sent you a message.
Oh, thank you. I found it. Actually, yes.
Is that the one?
Yes.
Very good. Sorry to interrupt.
So perhaps we could start by talking about Hamlet talking to Horatio.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because Horatio is definitely Hamlet's guy.
Mm.
Nay, do not think I flatter, for what advancement may I hope from thee, that no revenue hast but thy good spirits to feed and clothe thee. Why should the poor be flattered? No, let the candid tongue lip absurd pomp and crook the pregnant hinges of the knee. Can someone enlighten me?
So he's actually saying to him, right? He says to him, in the previous conversation, but just a minute earlier. Horatio, thou art even as just a man as ere my conversation coped withal. And Horatio is kind of trying to dismiss it as a bit of a compliment, as flattery. Oh, my dear Lord. And Hamlet jumps on him and says, there's no percentage for me to flatter you. You've got nothing I need. I've got the rank. I've got the cash. So why would I flatter a poor person? I'm telling you it, implication, you're getting it from the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so we go back up and just going above the Horatio, thou art e'en as just a man as ere my conversation coped withal. So basically this is saying, Horatio, you are a man and a just man,
And a dear friend, I think.
and as any I've ever met.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
I think
Horatio protests, oh my dear Lord.
I think it works both ways. There's nothing for Horatio either. He's his friend. And clearly there's nothing in it for Hamlet. So he's talking about true friendship, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's suffering nothing. Okay. So dost thou hear, since my dear soul was mistress of her choice and could of men distinguish, her election has sealed thee for herself. For thou hast been as one in suffering all that suffers nothing.
Yes, he's
Okay.
talking about his dear soul, which in fact is himself.
Mm-hmm.
But you could replace dear soul with Hamlet there.
But isn't it interesting that he used this as feminine?
Maybe the soul was considered a feminine, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I just was struck by that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But he's also getting ready to pay Horatio a huge compliment,
Yeah,
because it goes on to say, as one in suffering all that suffers nothing, a man's fortune buffets and rewards that has ta'en with equal thanks, and blessed are those whose blood and judgment are so well commingled, they are not a pipe for fortune's finger, to sound what stop she please.
yeah,
And I think he's telling Horatio that unlike himself, Horatio has maintains his composure whether faced with good or bad,
yeah.
whereas Hamlet is being buffeted about. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, I in my heart of hearts, as I do thee. Which at least I'm interpreting that actually Horatio has helping Hamlet maintain some kind of balance.
Yeah.
And then he switches to the telling Horatio what the plot is.
Mm. But he's really relying on him. You know, is he the only person he can rely on?
Well, he certainly can't rely on Polonius,
No.
and he certainly cannot rely on
The king.
Claudius or his mother
Yeah.
or Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So I think the answer is you were absolutely right, Sylvia. He's the only one that he can rely on. Horatio is the only one that Hamlet can rely on.
Mm. And he's going forward to do something that's going to be really crucial. You know, he's got to try and make sure this is carried out, this play, with the little
Yes. Mm-hmm.
scheme in it. So he's kind of walking a tightrope here.
Yes, he's walking a tightrope, but he's also, you know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting that he's bringing Horatio into his Hamlet's conspiracy here.
Right. And he gives the reasons for it in the lines following.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get a second opinion of the king.
Mm.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's very concerned still that the ghost is a malevolent spirit trying to trap him into doing something he shouldn't do.
Yes.
So he goes to somebody that he trusts first of all, but somebody that he knows has got what the French call sang-froid, cold blood. So he's even keeled. He's level-headed all the way through. Come good or bad fortune, it's all the same to him. There's perhaps a bit of the stoic in Horatio, and so he knows that this is the guy, because he's loyal and because he's cool-headed, who can observe the play and give him an honest answer.
Yeah.
You know, because it's at the peril of his soul, and so there's a great deal of trust that he's putting in Horatio here.
Yeah, and to have someone like Horatio to trust in such a matter is extremely important.
Yeah.
I went through a thing recently where I was being presented with information that was absolutely incorrect. But it was coming from a source that I could not believe was double dealing me. Or that would tell me such outrageous things that even when I said, no, that's not the way it is, open your eyes and look, they insisted that that was the way it was. And I thought long and hard about who can I talk to that would have the knowledge of this so I can confirm my perception.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this feeling. Like, you know,
You also have to know what's in it for them. Why would they tell lies? What would be the benefit for the person that would, to your face, tell lies to you?
yeah, well, I think the
They
irony in this particular case was they did not realize they were telling me lies.
Oh, okay.
Because what was in it for them was so precious that they would distort their own perception. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that, but I know the feeling of really wanting someone outside of myself that I can trust, that I think is competent to come and say, please look at this and tell me what you see.
I think we need to associate this piece here with something that Hamlet said further back when he sees the ghost for the first time. And
Mhm.
he accepts that this could be a good ghost or an evil ghost. And
Mhm.
he goes on then to say, you know, it is a damn ghost that we have seen. So he needs to find out what's the truth of this ghost. And he hopes
Right.
that Horatio will be able to observe that for him.
Mm-hmm.
And even the name Horatio, somehow I always associated with someone who's a hero or someone of good character, good standing. I know you've Horatio Nelson, that's before, after Shakespeare, but in Roman times, wasn't there a Horatio? He held the bridge.
Yes.
Exactly right. Exactly right, Jim.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you, Dave.
Who was he?
He was
Um,
go ahead, Jim. Go ahead. This
I,
is your
I'm trying to remember now, Horatio. Um, Herminius started back. Spurious Lartius started back. Those were the two guys. Jesus, it's coming back to me. Those were the two guys. The three of them were on the bridge, and they were called back. No, no, this is crazy odds. The two other guys, Herminius and Spurious Lartius, started back, and Horatio stood on the bridge. But beyond that, I can't remember any more of the poem or even who wrote it.
Okay. Well, here's I quickly looked up the name, the meaning of the name Horatio,
Mhm.
meaning timekeeper. If you're looking for a striking name with a literary spirit, consider Horatio, a masculine name of Latin origin that means timekeeper. It is derived from the old Latin surname Horatius, meaning providing connotations of tradition and history.
Steadfastness, so in other words.
Mm-hmm.
Jim. I did a bit of a Google search here. Well, you were talking. Okay. Horatius is a Roman army officer and the main character in the myth of Horatius and the Bridge, who saves Rome from the Etruscan army. The hated Roman king Tarquin the Proud, Tarquin Superbus, gets kicked out but comes back with an Etruscan army to take Rome back, meeting Horatius on the bridge.
Ah,
And was
thank you,
there
Dave. Yeah.
I seem to remember a poem. Was there a poem about it?
Oh, let me search.
Yes. Yes,
Horatio
there
at the
was.
bridge.
And we had Horatio Hornblower.
Oh, yes.
I was thinking of your reference to Nelson, Jim.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The name of the
Okay.
poem, I think, was Horatio on the Bridge.
I'm
Yeah.
going to I'm going to put a reference to it. It's by Thomas Babington Macaulay, Lord Macaulay. I knew none of this. I didn't know there was a poem, so you've given me some news. But I just did a quick Google
Oh,
search.
good.
I seem,
I'll put a site in the chat, and you can
Okay.
copy it if you want.
I seem to
Okay.
have
Thank you.
something from school. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can open that if you want, and it's got the poem.
Okay, great. So
Great,
let's
thanks.
look at this last part of Hamlet talking to Horatio. I think it's worth looking. So he tells Horatio, you know, you're my man. And then he goes on to say, there is a play tonight before the king. One scene of it comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, even with the very comment of thy soul, observe my uncle. If his occulted guilt does not itself unkennel in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imaginations are as foul as Vulcan's Stithy. which is interesting. I guess stithy actually means Vulcan smithy.
It does. And the air would have been foul at a smithy, which is the
Mhm.
foul reference there. And you're right, it is a smithy, yeah.
So, okay, so he's saying, hey, Horatio, look. So these things, I believe that this scene is referred to as the mouse trap.
Yes.
Oh,
That Hamlet, the parts of the play, the new parts of the play that he taught the main player, those are
Sorry,
those
sorry,
things.
Duncan. Can I cut across you again?
Please.
I haven't seen the Mousetrap, and it's coming to Dublin in a couple of weeks. So don't give me any spoilers, okay?
Okay, well, I think the mousetrap you're going to see is probably a related but different mousetrap.
Oh, sorry, okay.
So as we read the play, I'm afraid you're going to give yourself your own spoiler. So
Very good.
I saw it in London many years ago, and I can't remember the ending. And people don't really tell the ending.
That's the convention. So
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
spoil it for the next person along. Is
I
that
think
not
so.
the same Mousetrap that we're talking about?
Yes, I saw it in London as well, and I fell asleep. Now, that's no reflection on the play. I've been traveling all day, and I was just the theatre, between the heat of the theatre and my own tiredness. I just nodded off.
You're not the first at that, Jim. Lois fell asleep in the middle of our reading last week, you know?
Oh yes,
Not the Shakespeare one.
I know. I think I was there for the James Joyce reading. All right.
I didn't notice it, but she owned up and said,
I just thought she was concentrating intently.
No. She had very neatly slipped her head against her chair and was quietly sleeping.
"Well, it is boring in these groups, you know." I'm not surprised.
Hmm?
It's not boring. Okay.
So notice here, Dave, that actually what you were saying earlier, that he was wondering about the ghost, and now Hamlet is repeating that same thing
Yeah.
of whether that he needs to find out whether the ghost was really a good ghost or a bad ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And after we will both our judgments join in censure of his seeming. So Hamlet is recruiting Horatio as a second witness,
Mm.
which is a smart thing to do under any circumstance, really.
Yes.
Well, particularly if he's being acting as a madman, you know, where nobody would believe him. But if he has a witness, he has a much better chance of being believed if he's bringing forth this sort of evidence.
Yes.
I'm not even sure he's interested in proving to anybody but himself.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
The I mean, I don't think he's not like a lawyer that's going to take the king to court and do a legal argument. I think that he's really just looking to confirm the verdict in his own Hamlet's mind, so he can act on that with confidence.
Does it go a little bit
Yeah.
further because presumably he's aware that they may send him to England? Do we know? Does he know that? And he probably needs to get people on side with him to show that the activities of the king were not above board. Am I
I don't
stretching
think he
it?
does.
No, I don't think I don't think you are, but I don't think he's really knows what's going on. Dave, you
Okay.
got something to say about this?
No, I just wanted to agree with Donna. I'm not sure what precisely.
He knows.
He
I
knows.
can't remember the order of things, but I do think. Sorry, Donna. A bit of a spoiler. We find out later in the play that he does care about what people think.
Yes. I was assuming that anyway. Yeah.
I don't think he does. Because do you remember, like, he wasn't allowed to go back to school or anything. He wanted to keep him close, Claudia. So
Mm-hmm.
why would he think that they were going to send him to England?
Well, I don't
He
think he
sent he
knows.
sent there later for a particular reason. We're not going to tell you what it is, Donna.
Well, I think his Hamlet suspects something is up, but he doesn't know what it
Oh
is.
yeah, yes, yeah.
And I think that's because he knows that um, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were dissembling. They were not going to tell him anything. And so he's suspicious that there may be some plots against him, Hamlet. But exactly what they are, I don't think he knows yet.
You know something else too, and I just want to round back to what you said, Duncan. And there are reasons for his immortal soul, and this I think ties in with you, Donna, too. There are reasons for his immortal soul, for protecting his mortal soul, for safeguarding it, that he wants a second opinion. But what you said, I'm thinking about it, it rings true. You just want to know for your own forget the mortal soul, which is pretty important, so don't forget it. But if you put that aside, don't you want to know just for yourself that you're not over the top on this one? That you want somebody who's kind of calm and rational and trustworthy to say, no, you got a point here,
Yeah.
as you did when you wanted to make sure that your grasp on reality about the falsehoods and so forth was correct.
Yeah, because it makes you feel crazy.
Right. You get
Yeah.
gaslighted.
It literally makes you feel crazy when
Yes.
someone you know and have had tremendous respect and love for
Right.
starts pulling some really weird stuff.
Yes.
And then it really is it's crazy making. And so well, I'll put it in personal terms. So I cast it about and tried to figure out who do I know that has the talent and the sincerity to ask about this, so I can get a grasp on what the reality is.
Right.
So yeah, so that's why I kind of think Hamlet is doing the same thing. That it's so crazy, the idea of Claudius killing his father and marrying his mother so quick, and then this ghost appears. It's all really nutty stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he was smart enough that when I forget who told him that the player, I think Rosencrantz and Guildenstern told him that the players were coming in, and then he had this flash of genius of how he could use the situation to find out more clearly what's happening. And he put it together very quickly. So yeah. Okay, so let us go a little bit further. Do we read this last part where Horatio says, "Well, my lord, if he steal aught"? Who's our next reader?
We read down. Jim read down to Hamlet. A good bit past that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I read
okay.
that. Yeah.
The hobby horses forget. So there's a whole.
Oh, that's
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
There's a whole thing. Okay. So if you don't mind,
Yeah.
whoever is the next reader, if they could go ahead and start with Hamlet saying they are coming to the play, I must be idle, get thee a place. And so Jim read, so Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Yeah, but we've are we going to read this? Because Jim read all this.
He did. Actually,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. And actually, I know that he read it. I'm just
All
suggesting.
right, that's okay.
okay.
Shall I read it again?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Hamlet. They're coming to the play. I must be idle. Get you a place. King. How fares our cousin Hamlet? Hamlet. Excellent. In faith of the chameleon's dish, I eat the air, promise crammed. You cannot feed capon stew. King. I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine. Hamlet. No, nor mine now. To Polonius. My lord, you played once in the university, you say? Polonius. That I did, my lord, and was accounted a good actor. Hamlet. What did you enact? Polonius. I did enact Julius Caesar. I killed the capital. Brutus killed me. Hamlet. It was a brute part of him to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready? Rosencrantz. Aye, my lord. They stay upon your patience. Queen. Come hither, my dear Hamlet. Sit by me. Hamlet. No, good mother. Here's metal more attractive. Polonius to the king. Oh, how do you mark that? Hamlet. Lady, shall I lie on your lap? He lies at Ophelia's feet. Ophelia. No, my lord. Hamlet. I mean my head upon your lap. Ophelia. Aye, my lord. Hamlet. Do you think I meant country matters? Ophelia. I think nothing, my lord. Hamlet. That's a fair thought, to lie between maids' legs. Ophelia. What is, my lord? Oh, Hamlet. Nothing. Ophelia. You are merry, my lord. Who? I? Hamlet. Who? I. Ophelia. I, my lord. Hamlet. Oh God, you're only jig maker. What would a man do but be merry? For look you, how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within 2 hours. Ophelia. Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord. Hamlet. So long? Nay then, let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. Oh heavens, died 2 months ago and not forgotten yet? Then there's hope. A great man's memory may outlive his life half a year. But by Our Lady, I must build churches then, or else shall suffer not thinking on, with the hobby horse, whose epitaph, for oh, the hobby horse is forgot. Oh, I just stopped there because that's where we stopped.
Yeah, there's quite a
I'm
bit
the
there.
next reader, but do you want to discuss this little passage before we actually get into the play itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is juicy.
I would, well, people are looking it over. I would just simply point out a line that's at 105 where Polonius's was asked, did you act? And he said, I didn't act, Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me. And Hamlet comes right back with this really witty line. 'Twas a brute part of him to kill so capital a calf there. If you're wondering if Hamlet's got his wits about him, I think he's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm.
And of course, the line was that to Brutus, wasn't it? That famous
That's-
line from Julius Caesar.
Yeah,
Yes.
To Brute, yeah, exactly.
brute part.
Okay, and then there's a little thing where he rejects sitting next to his mother.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we have this interaction with Ophelia.
Mm.
I presume when he says, here's metal more attractive, he means as a magnet is attractive. That would be the metal.
Mm-hmm.
But then he becomes a bit vulgar, doesn't he? You know,
He doesn't become a bit vulgar. He becomes outright vulgar.
Mm.
I was just being nice, Duncan.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then you'll have to have forbearance with me because
That's quite all right.
I go straight to the matter here.
But this is very like the section where we had Get Thee to a Nunnery, you know, when he breaks into this sort of language, whereas he initially seemed to be playing up to her by saying, come on, I'll lie in your lap, you know, and then he turns vicious on her.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I think he's having his cake and eating it too, shall we say?
Okay.
Okay, because okay, so lady, shall I lie in your lap? She says, no, my lord. So, and lie in your lap, recline upon your lap, have sex with you. And
But
then,
remember, she has been instructed to keep away from him by her father and by Polonius, that, you know, she's not to give him any encouragement. So clearly she's not going to do that in this situation.
actually, I think that that was reversed, though.
Was it? Yeah.
Polonius has got his hopes up,
Okay.
which is why they had that scene where he told Ophelia to get together with Hamlet. They had that
Yes,
scene
you're right.
where Hamlet said, "Get thee to a nunnery," and then after that, Polonius was disappointed,
Yeah.
and he's still holding out hope that Hamlet is in love with Ophelia, and there's some.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. And then from Ophelia's point of view, to have the guy who gave you such a hard time come over to you and say, shall I lie in your lap? Which is a double entendre. And then she says no. And then he says, oh, I mean, put my head in your lap. Which, you know, you don't just go around putting your head in ladies' laps.
I love the line, do you think I mean country matters?
Yep,
Yeah, and my glossary is pretty forthright on that.
mine too.
Yeah, mine too.
So what does it say?
It says, maybe someone else can get there quicker. Country matters, sex, country puns one cunt.
Oh dear.
So it's pretty blunt.
I thought they meant rolling in the hay.
Well, I
Yes,
know.
ultimately, yes.
Ultimately, that is true.
God, is that shocking? I didn't know that's what that meant.
So
Well, I will plead innocence here. I'm not making it up. I'm just reading the notes
No.
from my footnote and my edition.
yes,
Sylvia, you'll have to read Fielding's Tom Jones to understand country.
oh, What a delightful book, Donna.
Well, in my library, I have several glossaries of ribald and obscene humor in Shakespeare, and there was a lot of it.
Yes.
As there was in Joyce.
Yep.
Yeah.
True. So the funny thing here is this is my ancient high school edition that I got when
Lovely.
I was about 17. And so what they put in this edition for this is Country Matters, rustic doings in brackets, with a pun on the vulgar word for the pudentum, meaning 99 out of 100 high school students would have no idea what the word means.
What
And then just read
Pudenda
on.
was.
Oh, they'd have looked it up very quickly, though.
Right, well, you'd have to.
That's called lying through sophistication, I believe.
That's right. So they give you the meaning of the line for those who are willing to do a bit of searching, which most high school kids are not going to
Yeah,
do.
actually, that's
Right.
a pretty good strategy. Anyway, Ophelia comes back after he says that. She says, "I think nothing, my lord." Okay, and now my footnote says, "No thing is." I don't understand this one. Country Matters I can understand, but according to my footnote, it says, "No thing is no thing," which somehow means vagina.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
that's stretching it.
I think it's stretching it too. Does anybody have a gloss on this or a
I think
not a
Bill
gloss?
Kennedy would call that BS.
Do you have it as two words, Duncan? No thing?
Well, it says nothing, i.e., no thing, parentheses, and in the parentheses is vagina.
Okay.
Where they got that from? I don't think, but I can do a stretch in my imagination on it. Whereas the numerical symbol for the male organ is a 1, the numerical symbol for the female organ is a 0. So no thing. Okay, and then right after Ophelia says, "I think nothing, my lord," Hamlet comes back, "That's a fair thought, to lie between maid's legs."
Mhm.
"What is, my lord?" "Nothing." "You are merry, my lord." "Who, I?" "I, my lord." And I'm just astounded that Ophelia has any presence of mind at all at this particular point. And she seems like she's at least temporarily recovered from all the insults earlier and is, able to give as good as she's getting. So anybody want to explain what, "Oh God, you're only jig maker"?
Well, she has said, you are merry, my lord. So he's basically saying, so do you think that I'm the only one that can make you happy or give you a laugh?
Hmm. Well, "You are merry, my lord," Hamlet. "Who, I?" Ophelia. "I, my lord."
Mm.
Mm.
Hamlet says, "Oh God, you're only jig maker. What
I
should
have
a
an ex
man do but be merry?"
Mm.
Jim?
I have an explainer here. You are you're only jig maker. It means I am the best merry maker anywhere, even if my mirth is silly.
Yeah.
What should a man? That means why wouldn't we all be merry? Look how merry my mother is. She who lost her husband only within the last 2 hours. Typically irrelevant and bitter sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Well, I have for jig maker, your only jig maker. I'm your unrivaled composer of jigs, body playlets.
Mhm.
Okay. Ophelia, nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord.
That whole last section is bitter sarcasm from Hamlet, isn't it? The
It
last
is.
interjection by him there.
Yeah, Donna, why don't you go ahead and read that last
Okay.
sentence, starting with so long.
So long? Nay, then, let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. Oh, heavens. Died 2 months ago, and not forgotten yet? Then there's hope. A great man's memory may outlive his life half a year. But by Our Lady, he must build churches then, or else shall he suffer not thinking on, with the hobby horse, whose epitaph it is, for, oh, the hobby horse is forgot.
Yeah, that is pretty bitter sarcasm.
Absolutely. It's as though he was speaking to himself, isn't it? Rather than addressing anybody in particular. I mean, on the face of it, he's talking to Ophelia, but I think he's talking to himself. It's like an internal monologue.
Probably so. I mean, but Ophelia could really follow what he's saying there. She's actually the girl for him,
Yeah.
you know. And he's going deeper here. He must build churches then, or he shall suffer not thinking on,
Mm.
which is basically, saying if you don't build some monuments while you're around, nobody's going to remember you in
Correct.
6 months.
Yeah.
Mm.
But she must be confused at this stage as to the mixed signals she's receiving from.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Well, let's go on because there's actually a little bit more in this dialogue. Yeah, let's
Okay.
continue
Okay.
because the Ophelia Hamlet thing goes on.
So before I read, just to swing back to the nothing is pun on vagina.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I did a little bit of searching while you were talking, and there's actually an article in the Atlantic, so I'd say it's a fairly good source, saying that there is that double meaning of the word nothing. And they actually talk about it in relation to the title of the play, Much Ado About Nothing.
Ah, okay.
Right.
And if you
Okay.
know the play, and if you know the play, the double entendre is actually very relevant in the play. I hope that
Okay.
we get a chance to look at that play as a group because it's a neat play.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that research because that makes
Excellent.
perfect sense.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know it. I was glad somebody brought it up. I never heard about it before, but it makes good sense within the context of this scene. All right, enough. The trumpets sound. Dumb show follows. Enter a king and queen very lovingly. The queen embracing him, and she kneels and makes show of protestation unto him. He takes her up and declines his head upon her neck. She lies him down upon a bank of flowers. She, seeing him asleep, leaves him, Anon, come in another man, takes off his crown, kisses it, pours poison in the sleeper's ears, and leaves him. The queen returns, finds the king dead, makes passionate action. The poisoner, with some 3 or 4, come in again, seem to condole with her. The dead body is carried away. The poisoner woos the queen with gifts. She seems harsh a while, but in the end accepts love. And then the people in the dumb show leave. Ophelia, what means this, my lord? Mary, this is milching Malichu. It means mischief. Ophelia, belike this show imports the argument of the play. Enter prologue. Hamlet, we shall know by this fellow. The players cannot keep counsel, they'll tell all. Ophelia, will they tell us what this show meant? Hamlet, aye, or any show that you will show him. Be you not ashamed to show, he'll not shame to tell you what it means. Ophelia, you are not, I'll mark the play. Prologue. For us and for our tragedy, here stooping to your clemency, we bear your hearing patiently. Hamlet, is this a prologue or the posy of a ring? 'Tis brief, my lord, says Ophelia. Hamlet, as a woman's love. Enter 2 players as king and queen. Player king. Full 30 times has Phoebus' cart gone round Neptune's salt wash, Entellus' orbed ground, and 30 dozen moons with borrowed sheen about the world have times 12 thirties been, since love our hearts and Hymen did our hands unite commutial in sacred bands. So many journeys may the sun and moon make us again count, or ere love be done. But woe is me, you are so sick of late, so far from cheer and from your former state, that I distrust you, that though I distrust, discomfort you, my lord, it nothing must. For women fear too much, even as they love, and women's fear and love hold quantity in neither aught nor in extremity. Now what my love is, proof hath made you know, and as my love is sized, my fear is so. Where love is great, the littlest doubts are fear. Where little fears go great, great love grows there. Player king. Faith, I must leave thee now, love, and shortly too. My operant powers their functions leave to do, and thou shalt live in this fair world behind, honored, beloved, and happily as one kind. For husband shalt thou, player queen, confound the rest, such love must needs be treason in my breast. In second husband, let me be accursed. None wed the second, but who killed the first. Hamlet aside. That's Wormwood. Yes, Duncan, I guess I'd turn it over to you unless you want to do some discussing.
Let's see. This goes on quite some time. Yeah, I think we need to at least catch up to what you've read.
Okay.
Okay, so you read up to Wormwood.
Yes, that's Wormwood on page line 186, 187 in my edition.
Okay, so there's nothing subtle in this at all. This is like throw it in their face.
Yes, you've such a penchant for understatement, Duncan.
Okay, so we'll go back to here. We got another not. Ophelia says, you are not. I'll mark the play. So right before that, Ophelia says, will they tell us what this show meant? Hamlet, aye, or any show that you'll show him. Be not you ashamed to show, he'll not shame to tell you what it means. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how that is ribald myself, but I do know that when she says, you are not, I'll mark the pay. She's saying, you're being really naughty here, Hamlet. I'm going to ignore you and watch the play.
Yeah, no.
What is
Yeah,
the
that not means indecent or offensive.
Yeah.
what is
As
the
in naughty. As in naughty.
naughty?
Mhm.
How is so they come out and they do a silent play, and then they go back in again, and then there's another play? What I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I think there's plays within plays within plays somehow in this thing.
Okay.
I think what happens, Katrina, I could be wrong, is that the so-called dumb show is when they come out silently
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
mime what's going to happen in
Okay.
the play that follows, which is the spoken play. So
Okay.
Yeah.
as Duncan puts it, we're not too subtle here because
Right.
Mm.
he's
get it
basically
twice.
twice, and it's like he's coming out with a baseball bat both times. Sorry, Irish people, a cricket bat.
That's quite okay. Yeah. Cricket is more English, Dave, you know.
Oh, sorry.
A
A
shillelagh.
Dave.
Hurling.
He's
A
coming out with a
hurling.
shillelagh.
A hurley.
Hurling, okay, good.
That's it, Jim.
Yeah, so there's the dumb show, and then after the dumb show, there's the dumb show happens, then there's this thing, and then begins a verbal show.
Yeah, be like this show imports the argument of the play. Ophelia says at the start there.
Okay. 30 times full, 30 times Phoebus' card gone round. Neptune's salt wash and Tellus orb drowned. And 30 dozen moons of borrowed sheen around the world have times 1230s been. But since our hearts in Hymen did our hands unite commutual in most sacred band. And I have a note that says that Hymen, in this case, actually is the god of marriage.
Right.
Yeah. Just before you go into that piece, Duncan, where Hamlet says, "Is this a prologue or the posy of a ring? Ophelia, 'tis brief, my lord." And Hamlet, "As woman's
That's
love."
woman's
He has
love.
another
I just
proper,
read
you know?
that yeah.
Yeah.
So this girl has to be totally confused at this stage.
And this is really just drawing straws out of the air somehow, but I think that before all this happened, I think that these teasing things are actually a sign of the sort of relationship that Hamlet and Ophelia had.
Okay.
And that what she's shocked about is that he should go from being, kind of a fun guy to being, such a horrible monster,
Mhm.
giving her trouble, which of course adds to her woes. But I just get the impression because that whole thing, some of this back and forth, this is the back and forth of people who've been doing, playing this sort of thing with each other for a while.
Hmm.
Such as my current interpretation of this part.
Okay, so I just want to repeat what I'm hearing you say then, Duncan. You're saying that this banter, that there had been playful banter between the two in the past, but now it's been weaponized on Hamlet's part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That instead of just, funny retorts and, ribald, teasing each other, suddenly he's turning vicious, which is, pretty hard to take.
Yeah. Yes.
No, you always have to keep in mind that I don't restrain myself when conjecturing,
It's good.
because I figure if I get too far out of line, someone's gonna ground me somehow. So, but that's how it feels to me. That earlier banter, that whole country thing, and may I, lay my head in your lap and all that. I mean, this is like people know each other. It reads like that to me anyway. Okay, then we have this kind of really not very, correct me if I'm wrong. This play doesn't seem very skillfully written. 30 times has Phoebus' cart gone round, Neptune's salt wash and Tellus orbed ground. And 30 dozen moons with borrowed sheen around the world has times 12 30s been. It seems kind of amateurish.
Something you think that Polonius might have written.
Yeah, it's cliches. It's like, you know.
But wasn't it the thing that writers of that time, particularly Shakespeare, would like to display their classical or knowledge of mythology with this type of language? Like I said, Hymen is the goddess of marriage. Did
Mm-hmm.
our hands unite? But I think lots of Shakespeare's plays have passages like this where he's
Okay.
referring back to old mythological characters.
Okay. So, I mean, I may be totally wrong that he's kind of hamming it up here.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that he is. It doesn't strike me as such because you have all these passages, the sun's progress through the sky is sort
Okay.
of described as a chariot and,
But
crossing the.
but is that sort of counting time? Sometimes,
Yeah,
you're talking about the revolutions of the
of the earth
sun.
and the
Yeah,
sun. Yeah. I mean, full
yeah,
30 times had Phoebus' cart gone round. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean about the chariot racing through the
yeah,
sky, which is the sun
yeah.
rising in the morning until it's set in the evening. And it's told in those sort of terms.
Mm.
I presume Neptune's salt wash means the tide coming in and out. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about Talus's orbed ground. Has that something to do with the moon?
Tellus is orb ground. Tellus was goddess of the earth. The earth. Tellus orb ground is the
Okay, it
earth.
was the Earth. And 30 dozen moons with borrowed sheen above the world have times 1230s been. So it's the passage of time.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is just I mean, in essence, this is a fancy way of saying, a month later
Yeah, there is a
they were
word for it,
married.
which I can't remember, something like artifice. It's a method of writing, and they use this type of language to describe it. I think of the word as I'm not articulating it very well.
And he's writing it in rhyming couplets too.
Yes,
Yeah, an
Just
it's iambic pentameter, which is
it is.
um you think of as more in 18th century, but I guess, but very, very plain, repetitive, not creative.
Not
That's how it
not
comes
poetic
across to
anyway.
me. This reminds me of parts of so like Oxen of the Sun,
yes.
Yeah,
where the actual author is kind of parodying other
Mm,
Yeah,
playwrights.
yeah.
yeah.
that he considers a lesser playwright.
But
No,
I'm not
that's
sure Shakespeare is, I'm sorry to be harping on about this, but I'm not sure Shakespeare is doing a parody here. I think he uses this method in all his plays. You know, there are all these
Okay.
classical references,
Okay.
mythological references
Right.
that you expect to find in a Shakespeare play.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. So, I mean, you and I just have a little difference of point of view on this particular one. And I'm not acting out of deep knowledge here, I guarantee you.
Nor I.
I'm acting out of instinct here, where
That's good. That's good.
the writing doesn't seem to be up to the earlier stuff that we've been reading.
But of course, there is a great argument out there that Shakespeare didn't write all this stuff anyway.
That's true.
So
Well,
we'll put this down to the alternate writer. I'm very good.
somebody threw this together pretty quickly too.
Yes.
So whoever wrote this play, I mean,
It might be The Apprentice.
Well, you know, we have to determine because Hamlet wrote part of this play.
right.
did he actually hand over a manuscript or did he just suggest?
He whispered it in
Okay.
the main player's ear. He in the earlier scene when the players first came in and Hamlet was talking to the head of the troupe,
Mhm.
and he said, "Here, I got some things I want you to do, and here's
Mhm.
something I want you to slip in here."
So then Hamlet wrote this?
Yeah. So Hamlet did, yeah, Hamlet made stuff up
Right.
to put in this other place.
Right. I understand that, but you're not suggesting that Hamlet wrote this,
Um,
are you?
well, you know, this whole thing, the 30 moons, you know, the king died, and I mean, the king was killed, and a month later, Gertrude and Claudius had a wedding.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think that Hamlet's strategy is by taking what he thinks happened and what he knows happened and slipping it in, and then he's going to watch Claudius and Gertrude's reaction to it.
Right.
So you talked about Oxen of the Sun, and I'm wondering if there are some. I mean, there's similarities, obviously. So is it that in Oxen of the Sun, that Joyce is showing us, I can write like this. I don't, but I can actually write like these people do. And is Shakespeare actually doing the same thing in this with this play within a play, going, I can write like this. I can give you the rhyme couplets and I can give you this dense mythological stuff that's really, really hard packed, but I choose not to in my normal writing. But I could do it if I want to. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm implying that.
You know,
But you know, like I say, I'm just working out of instinct here.
yeah, me too. Me too.
And feeling the difference between some of the earlier writing and actually after the play here, I think we will, yeah. So I'm just trying stuff out.
Right. It's good.
I'm just looking at Wikipedia here, and they say that there are three different early versions of the play that are still extant. First quarto, second quarto, and first folio, and that each version contains lines and passages missing from the others. And then they go on to say many works have been pointed to as possible sources for Shakespeare's play. This is the point I was coming to, from ancient Greek tragedies to Elizabethan dramas. The editors of the ardent Shakespeare question the idea of source hunting, pointing out that it presupposes that authors always require ideas from other works for their own, and suggests that no author can have an original idea or be an originator. When Shakespeare wrote, there were many stories about sons avenging the murder of their fathers, and many about clever avenging sons pretending to be foolish in order to outsmart their foes. So it would be of its time, perhaps.
Wow.
Thank you for that. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
finding that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's Wikipedia. There's a long article there if you want to have a look at it. But they say that it's the greatest play that is recognized as the greatest Shakespearean play in the English language.
Say that again?
They say in this that it's recognized as the greatest play in the English language.
Hamlet?
Hamlet. And it's also Shakespeare's longest play.
Oh.
And some people claim that no one has ever successfully performed Hamlet.
Huh.
That it's
What about
just
Olivier? I'm sure he did.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get Olivia, can't you, on YouTube?
Yeah.
I
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't done it, I put a thing from BBC that had it was like an hour and a half that had all kinds of different actors and approaches to playing Hamlet in it. It's quite good. And there's
I've seen it performed in the Irish language.
Ooh.
Really?
It
Huh.
would lead to any greater understanding
Huh.
because they set it in the west of Ireland.
I saw Richard Burton in Hamlet on Broadway.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a treat.
Yeah, he had an amazing voice,
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Richard Bruton.
Takes us
Mhm.
back to his performance of Under Milkwood.
Richard Burton. I'm calling him Bruton.
You're thinking of the Irish minister, Richard Bruton.
I know. I suddenly realized that I was talking about him.
I had a teacher at college who said that Hamlet was a prerequisite to life in the Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
I'm
Did
not
he elaborate on that?
I'm not exactly sure what he meant, and I've pondered it all these years.
Wow.
But just that it's a very, very, very important play.
Oh, okay. I think one interpretation of that remark is that with Hamlet was introduced the doubting hero. That up to that point, that heroes knew the situation and took decisive action and would go into battle.
Yeah.
Would go into battle and defeat the wrong and save the right and all that thing. But with Hamlet, suddenly doubt comes in
Yeah.
about what's
Interesting.
going on, and that's the modern situation.
Yeah.
We're obviously that's not true for everybody. We have a number of a high percentage of people in the population that at least think they know exactly what's going on and exactly what needs to be done. But many of us are just kind of casting about trying to figure, well, God, what's the best thing to do in this ambiguous situation?
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
So, Donna, did I gather from you that you've seen Hamlet perform then?
Yes. Well, I've seen it a number of times.
Okay, so then why are we tiptoeing around with these spoiler alert things?
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't remember the end.
Well, okay, we no longer have to worry because you probably won't remember from one
Come back
session
to me
to
as
the
we go
next. This is like one time where was I had a brother who I had to keep in an institute. Oh, actually, my mother was in an institution. She had had a stroke and this sort of thing, and there was an Alzheimer's unit. And the thing about the Alzheimer's thing is, you can if you're an attendant and you want to entertain them, you can do the same thing over and over again,
Of course, yeah.
and they won't remember.
It'll always be original.
It'll always be fresh.
Mm.
So they didn't do it at my mother's care center, but at another care center I heard about, one of the ways that they would pass time in the Alzheimer's unit was to have weddings.
Ah,
and the patients, you know, they would have the bride, and the bride would be the giggly bride, all excited about getting married, and there would be the groom, you know, doing the groom thing, and then they would have this ceremony, and they would have, you know, they would throw petals and you know, sing the song, "Here comes the bride," ba da 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 da, and they had a great time, and they could do that every week.
Ah. Huh. Hmm.
Oh, we've got 4 minutes.
Wow, that went fast.
It
Sure did.
go fast.
Mm.
We must be having a good time.
Yeah, time flies when we're having fun.
That's it.
That's a good point, Don. I think that as we get to know each other and we're more relaxed in each other's company, the 2 hours just flies.
That's true.
You know? And that's great.
Particularly when you've Duncan throwing comments out from left field all the time. Oh, bouncing.
Yeah, there you go. A baseball term.
Is that right? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I think that we're good enough to go next time to actually start with what do you think? You think we should start by rereading the Dumb Show?
I think we should continue if everybody agrees.
Okay, continue with Bautista that says, "So many journeys may the sun and moon."
Oh, where?
No, we're on to Wormwood, a little bit
Yeah.
further on.
It's
That's
just
where
it's
it's
the
gonna be
second
happening.
marriage move. Yeah.
Okay, so let me get rid of this.
Because we still have quite a bit of dumb show to go through.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would start with after Wormwood.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
instances that second marriage move.
Mm.
Okay. Excellent. Then I will put a bookmark here.
Me too.
Anyway,
Great.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Been a
Yeah,
great
thank-
discussion.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
Take care.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.